I'll tell you what I know. What I know comes off an FBI report. Don't ask me how you can figure out. I've been around long enough. The kid gets, I don't think he was murdered. I don't think he was murdered because of what he knew. The kid's a nice boy, 27. He was not an IT expert, but he learned stuff. He was a data programmer, but he learned stuff. And so he's living on one street. He's living in a very rough neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that's in transit, being gentrified. And in the exact area where he'd been, there have been about 10, I'm sure you know all this, there have been about 8 or 9 or 10 violent, robberies, most of them with somebody brandishing a gun. And the kid's hands, I'm telling you, I'm sure you know, his hands were marked up. The cops concluded he fought off the people, tried to run, and he shot him twice in the back with a .22, small caliber. And then the kids that did it ran. They got scared and didn't take his wallet. Okay, so what the cops do then, and here's what nobody knows, what I'm telling you. Now, maybe you know something about it. When you have a death like that, DC cops, if you're dead, you generally don't just go. You have to find out what's going on. You have to get to the kid's apartment and see what you can find. If he's dead, you don't need a warrant. But most cops get a warrant because they don't know if the guy has a roommate. You need a warrant, so they get a warrant. I'm just telling you, there is such a thing. They go in the house and they can't do much with his computer. It's password. The cops don't know much about it. So the D.C. cops, they have a cyber unit in D.C., and they're more sophisticated. They come and look at it. The idea is maybe he's had a series of exchanges with somebody who says, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker, over a girl, or, right. Whatever. And they can't get in. The cyber guys do a little better, but they can't make sense of it. So they call the FBI cyber unit. The D.C. unit, the Washington field office, is a hot shit unit. The guy running the Washington field office, he's like a 3-star at an army base. He's ready looking for 4. You know what I mean? He's going to go into a top job because that's a job, and they're good.
Do you know his name?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I can know it.
All right. I was just wondering.
No, I don't know who. Well, I know who runs the field office. He's public, but there's a cyber unit there that's excellent.
Okay. I got you.
That's what you get in a warrant. The public information you get in a warrant doesn't include. It does not include the affidavit underlying why are you going in, what the reasons are. That's almost never available on. I can tell you that the existence of a warrant is a public document 99% of the time.
Okay.
So they, on the same warrant, they call in the Fed. The Feds get through, and here's what they find. This is according to the FBI report. What they find is he makes. First of all, you have to know some basic facts. One of the basic facts is there's no DNC or Podesta email that exists beyond May 21st, 22nd. It's the last email for either one of those groups. And so what the report says that sometime in late spring, we're talking about June, summer's in June 21st. Late spring would be after, I presume, I don't know. I just say what it says, late spring, early summer. He makes contact with WikiLeaks. That's in his computer, and he makes contact. Now, I have to be careful because I met Julian 10, 12 years. I stay the fuck away from people like that. And he said, invited me, and when I'm in London, I always get a message, come see me as the Ecuadorian ambassador, and there's no fucking way I'm going there. I've got enough trouble without getting photographed by every fucking day. He's under total surveillance by everybody, and including SIGINT. So I don't know how we got in contact, but I'm working on it. There is a way to talk to let people know. There's something called Signal. I'm not sure, but anyway, they found what he had done. He had submitted a series of documents, of emails, some juicy emails from the DNC. And by the way, all this shit about the DNC, whether hacked or wasn't hacked, but whatever happened. The Democrats themselves wrote this shit. You know what I mean?
Well, they wrote it, but also the Republicans, and they hired that group. But when you say he submitted...
but you know who started that group with the Simpson stuff? Rubio.
Yeah, exactly. But when you say...
How do you know that?
Well, because, people have told me, but it was Rubio, McCain, and Bush that found this former MI6 guy.
We have to talk more about that because I'll tell you, I know Simpson knew him for years. That's Steele. But don't
Simpson. Who's Simpson?
But let me keep on going.
All right. Well, when you talk about, let's just go back to.
Let me go back to my narrative.
Right.
Then you can ask questions.
Okay.
All I know is that he offered a sample, an extensive sample. I'm sure dozens of emails, and said, "I want money."
Okay.
Is that later, WikiLeaks did get the password. He had a Dropbox, a protected Dropbox, which isn't hard to do. I mean, you don't have to be a wizard, IT wizard. He was certainly, he's not a dumb kid. They got access to the Dropbox. He also, and this is also in the FDA report, he also let people know with whom he was dealing. And I don't know how he dealt. I'll tell you about WikiLeaks in a second. I don't know how he dealt with the WikiLeaks and the mechanism. But he also, the word was passed, according to the FBI report. I also shared this box with a couple of friends. So if anything happens to me, it's not going to solve your problem. Okay? I don't know what that means. I don't know whether he was, anyway. But WikiLeaks got access, and before he was killed, Roger Stone was talking about this file publicly about 5 days before the kid was killed. So I don't think the killing had anything to do with anything. Although one of the lawyers the family now has been mouthing off about the Russians killed them. I will tell you right now, there's not the Russians may indeed have broken in. They may indeed, and I'll tell you right now, we and the Russians are like babes compared to the Chinese. The Chinese are pinging everything. I mean, everybody knows you're always being pinged. The Democratic National Committee probably had a lot of... Anyway, whatever happened, I can tell you right now, Brennan's an asshole. I've known all these people for years. Clapper's sort of a better guy, but not rocket scientist. The NSA guy's a fucking moron. And the trouble with all those guys is that the only way they're going to make it to a board or two and get, hired by SAIC to deliver some fat cat contracts is if Hillary stayed in. With Trump, they're gone. They're done. They're going to live in their pension. They're not going to make it. And I got to tell you, guys in that job, they don't want to live on their pension. They want to be on boards like their predecessors.
Sure.
And, make $600,000 for going to 4 visits to some dumb company. Anyway, so there you are.
So let's go back to...
That's what I know.
So,
and I can't even begin to go... And so the question then is was there any money in the kids' finances? Did the 25,000 K show up? I mean... I've gone to Assange's people. I know somebody. I don't like Julian, but I've gone to somebody who works for him, who's close to him. And once everything was okay, we were speaking on a Signal. It's a classified, something the government can't break into, an encryption stuff. It's good. Actually, Snowden works.
I use Signal as well.
It's the best. By the way, you know who's the honcho right now for Signal? Their main advisor, Edward Snowden. They pay him a lot of money to, Snowden. I'll tell you one thing. He doesn't love the Russians either, because he knows what assholes they are. I don't know. Anyway, he did what he did. He's never coming back. He fucked up.
So, but I want to go back to something. I want to go back to something.
Well, go ahead.
I want to go back to something. So, not Joel's the father, and
right.
I've spoken with Joel, and my initial feeling, being a Jewish boy. And I know, I don't think that has a lot to do with it, but I think you understand what I mean. Is that here you have?
My family's out of Ukraine. My father's village was knocked off by the
right.
But not.
Go ahead. With a name like Cy Hirsch, I kind of figured you were a Landsman.
Seymour Myron.
Oh, even more. Okay.
Seymour Myron. I wore glasses. The only thing I say there is always a good athlete, but I had a fight for years over my fucking name. Go ahead.
I would too. But putting that aside, I felt bad for this kid. I felt bad for the parents because the parents I knew weren't going to get any information at all from the Washington police or the FBI. And they're just left out completely in the dark. They have they don't know anything. And when I heard something through another channel, it made me get really interested in it and more and more and more. But what you're saying is that he uploaded stuff into the WikiLeaks Dropbox, and they pulled it down, and that's where the Podesta and DNC emails came from.
Yes, it doesn't preclude Russians also hacking them. I just don't think that, it's always Occam Razor. WikiLeaks got them. By the way, nobody Julian's a complete fucking lunatic, he's when I first met him was about 10 years ago in Italy at a conference. He came up to me, and he's albino, and he was on the run from Aussie. He's an Australian, but he'd broken in there, and what he did is he wanted to see me, and I said, why? And he said, oh, I break into everything. It turned out he'd broken into the fucking FBI, the CIA, the Pentagon. I didn't want to deal with him, but he was going to start this service. And I said, Godspeed, buddy, because he was lethal. He was under warrant because he'd broken into everything in banks and shit like that, and credit cards in Australia.
But I understand that. But I want to stay focused on one thing just for a moment. You saw a report. You saw the FBI report.
No, I have somebody on the inside. I've been around a long time and I read a lot of stuff. I have somebody on the inside who will go and read a file for me, and I know. This person is unbelievably accurate and careful. He's a very high-level guy. He'll do a favor.
And is there any way we can get our hands on the report? Because
I know
that changes everything.
I'll tell you something. I learned a long time ago. I do have some amazing shit, but I don't use it ever because I never know a marking. I never know if there's a marking or a phrase that would trigger where it came from. So I am careful about that stuff. And, we're coming into a new age of surveillance now. I think some of these guys, Flynn and all that, they're going to up the surveillance shit. But that's okay. I mean, fuck it. If you're not doing anything,
but this particular...
I can't get the report. I cannot get the report. I can probably get the warrant, but it won't show anything. I mean, I'm sure I can get the warrant. I know it's where it is. It'll just show they issued a warrant, which is normal, doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Except that it confirms something my friend told me, because he said there was a warrant. And I can tell you right now, you don't need a warrant if somebody's dead. You only get it if you think there's a roommate. So that's interesting.
So
if you're dead,
I'd like to have anything at all, but most importantly, this is one of the most important.
What do you mean you'd like to have a why?
Well, what I'm saying is, I would love to see if they had it. I mean, there's no reason not to see it, but the most important thing is this: there's so many people throughout Trump's, 4 years and maybe 8 years are always going to fall back on the idea that he's not legitimate and the Russians got him elected. This changes all of that.
Well, let me tell you something. This is the reason I'm pushing it, because at least it doesn't, I wish Trump would, when a million people march, women marching, wearing pink and all that stuff, they're mad at him for the sexual stuff he said. I wish he would just say something more instead of saying the crowd's not big, that kind of shit. I wish he would be a little grown up.
Well, of course.
But I would tell you, Mattis is the best. Mattis is the grown-up, and as long as Mattis is there, he's not, and as long as he listens to Mattis, he's going to be. I mean, I do know that. I know people work. There are a couple of people I know work for Trump who are first rate. There's a lot of loonies around him. I don't think Bannon's as mad as crazy as everybody else does either.
No, Bannon's a great guy. I know him.
No, he's not as crazy. I know that. He's very smart. He's also literate. I mean, he's a very literary guy.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of them too, but I want to get this.
I can't. I don't want to get near the. I don't play politics. Obama was a piece of shit. It's on foreign stuff. I thought he was on racial stuff. I thought he was fine, except he didn't do it. The Democrats did nothing. Trump won because the Democrats didn't do nothing for anybody. But having said that, the last thing I want to do is go to the White House and say, "Look what I have for you." Fuck you! I don't do that.
Right.
So
but you get it to me, and I'll do it.
And by the way, Larry, even though Larry, like a lot of people I know, Johnson, supports Trump because you got to change the system. As I said, circuit breaker. You got to break the system because our foreign policy. We're in fucking Afghanistan for 16 years, right? On the war on terror. How the fuck we doing? How's the war going after 16 years?
Right.
And Trump, Trump also, he was out. He could, in a way, in the Forsyth saga, those 19th, 20th century novels about upper class England, there was something known as a gentleman of means, and the gentlemen of means were guys who had a lot of money, who did not like trouble. He didn't like wars. A guy like Trump that has so many assets all over the world, he may actually be somebody who's going to say, let me look at the scorecard here in Afghanistan. What the fuck?
Right. No, I'm in agreement with all of that. I'm trying to just focus in on this because
so what do you know anything more? I mean, the family knows nothing. They're told nothing.
I know, and I just want to, because I have to leave in a second to go to I have a lunch downtown at your 1 o'clock, my 12 o'clock. And
go ahead.
I have to leave in a second.
You know what? Tell me what you know. My pen is down. You're not in the middle. I'm not quoting about anything. I know that. What do you know?
I know that Julian Assange told a friend of mine who met with her that he got the emails from Seth Rich. And he told her, and they're very personal friends. And
who's personal friend?
She told me, and that's what has gotten
the woman who told you is a personal friend
of Julian's.
Not Sarah Harrison.
No, it's not her. And she
told. Why would he tell somebody that?
Because he
was he trying to make her? Was he trying to fuck her? Or what? That's all he wants. That's all he thinks about.
Yeah, no, that's not what this is about at all. Trust me, because she's a lesbian. So my point is that when that happened, I got very emotional about hearing that and feeling terrible for Seth's parents. And I initially just wanted to let the parents know because they should know what happened to their son.
Go ahead.
And that's why I started getting really into this, because then the whole thing came up about the hacking with the Russians, and I just happened to have been looking into it when that happened. And we solve a lot of problems, especially letting a mother and father know what happened to their son. And second, we solve the problem about Russians are the ones that gave the emails, because that did not happen. I know that did not happen.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something, and you're just going to have to trust me. I have what they call in my business long-form journalism. I have a narrative of how that whole fucking thing began. It's a Brennan operation. It was an American disinformation, and the fucking president. At one point, when they even started telling the press, they were back briefing the press. The head of the NSA was going and telling the press, this fucking cocksucker Rogers was telling the press that we even know who in the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Service, leaked it. I mean, all bullshit. They were telling these. I worked at the New York Times for fucking years, and the trouble with the fucking New York Times is they have smart guys, but they're totally beholden on sources. If the president or the head of the CIA tells them something, they actually believe it. I was hired at the Times to write about it, to go after the war, in the Vietnam War in '72, because they were just locked in. So that's what the Times is. These guys run the fucking Times. And Trump's not wrong. I mean, I wish he would calm down and had a better press secretary. You have to be so. Trump's not wrong to think they all fucking lied about him.
Well, I get okay, only because I have to go. I understand all that. I just want to focus in on this.
Well, call me later.
No, but I want to focus in.
Mr. Patowski, I've been doing this for. I don't mean to be rude.
Yeah, you've done a long time.
I've been doing this story since the late summer because I smelled it. I smelled it in August. Okay.
Good.
The fallback was going to be Russia, and it's and I'll tell you right now, Putin may be a prick. But he's played a weak hand. If you play poker, he's played a weakened hand brilliantly. He's fucking smart, and there's a lot of business that can be done together. Not only international. I'm not talking about money business. I'm talking about political business. Because Putin hates the fucking ISIS as much as we do. The Russia's against religion nuts. Anyway, let's talk later. If you tell me you know somebody that Julian said it to, I mean, I'm going to push you hard. I don't have to. You can take my word for it. I'm not going to expose anybody, but I have to hear it.
Well, so tell me. But I can tell you that, and I will. I have no problem with that.
Fucking run. Don't get late because of me.
Right, but I'm just trying to get something in my hand that I can get public about this.
No, hey man, listen. That's not what I'm. No. That's not what When I'm talking to you because my buddy Larry, who I think a lot of, and I've known for a long time. He used to teach graduate courses at American University here, in Washington. He was, he's no dummy.
Yep.
I don't know if he's got a PhD or not, but he used to teach graduate courses in politics. And I remember the first time he nagged me like hell in the 80s to come speak to his class. He was still in the agency then. And when I went there, the guy speaking in front of me was William Colby, the head of the CIA. I mean, so Larry's got juice. Larry told me to call you. I call you, but I'm not trying to give you something to go to the White House with. That's not what it's about.
Right. Okay. And that's okay. That's okay.
I just need to know what you know.
All right.
Because I'm writing something. That's all.
All right.
I mean, maybe that doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we shouldn't talk. Are you kidding me? I can tell you right now, Mattis knows what I know.
Got it.
Okay?
All right.
It's already been done. That doesn't make it true.
I understand.
It doesn't make it true.
I'll call you back.
Okay, so let's talk later when you have time.